What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Musings&Review channel. Maverick here with episode 7 of Darwin's Game. So, this episode came out a little bit late because I was on vacation last week. I apologize for that, but I'm gonna do this right before episode 8 comes, so all hopefully will be fine. And let's see, where did we leave off from the last episode? Oh yeah, I think we just managed to figure out the coordinates. They actually led back to Shibuya Station, so that is presumably where the final, I guess, mission or whatnot is in order to clear the event. And it's probably also going to be the site of the final showdown between Kaname and his friends versus the rival clan here, right? I'm looking forward to seeing some good actual battles, with both sides actually having having powerful ability users, and perhaps get to know a little bit of the dynamic of clan wars or clan battles. I don't really know if they have any specific mechanics compared to like other stuff. I'm still viewing it in terms of a game, and lots of these kinds of games, they're typically mechanics specific for these sort of clan wars, clan battles. Then again, I don't think Kaname has actually formed his clan, right? He's not an officially registered clan. Well, anyways, let's just get into the episode and see what's gonna happen. Alright, let's begin in 3, 2, 1, play. I think it'll also be interesting to see what exactly Kaname decides to do in this situation, because I think this is one of the first enemies where it's quite clear that the other side is, evil, right? Wong, I mean, and his Goonies. Telekinetic type, really. If they're actually going through this entire thing, I guess perhaps he wasn't able to take care of him. Last episode seemed the florist. All right. Huh. Are they actually gonna show a battle between the florist and this pyrotechnic first? Whatever I think about the anime itself, I gotta say this opening is one of my favorites from this season. Run! Alright. Eighth. The country title there, I believe, said Crush. I guess these are other participants. Ooh. Hmm. I guess he might be able to burn all the fragments. Oh, he's dead. I guess that answers the question as to why he's not part of the team with Kaname. Alright, so he's an airbender. Ooh. I somehow doubt. Yeah. You can use that. Destroying the structure. But to someone who can actually fly, Rip. You know, I do wonder, those that are game overed, are they really killed? See, the reason why I'm thinking this is because, you know, we have this entire thing with Kaname's friends as well. So, is it actually going to be a case where, you know, his friends are actually dead? Or maybe in the end it turns out that this entire game over thing isn't really the end of everything. And you're gonna run into... Yep. Saw that coming a mile away. Ouch. Yeah. And then the one that survives is gonna be the one with the strongest venom. Right. These are like the worst. Oh man. Like, I don't even just enjoy it. Don't question it. Ooh. Hmm. One 185-911. Could it be like a locker number or something? What kind of armor is this thing using? I mean, 6 numbers to me just looks like a locker number or something. Oh? Damn. That is like a god tier ability. But how does that work? Okay, I guess it... Huh. Year, month, year, yeah. That could also be possible. Ah, it's this one. Of course it has something to do with Darwin. Uh, both sides are kind of stupid. Like, this dude is doing all this when there's 4 other enemies on the loose. Oh, is he actually lying? So why don't he just kill you right now? Like, put you full of bullets. I mean, they got time, they got people. They could use the key on every single locker here. Anyways. See you guys after this. Alrighty, so that was episode 7 of Darwin's Game, and I guess now is the time for the thing that you guys all expected, and that is Maverick complaining about how boneheaded these characters are for another 10 minutes or so, right? And I do keep on saying this, but like particularly for this episode, I do apologize if I seem a little bit heartless towards all these scenes of people dying, people getting hurt and whatnot. It's just that, to me, I really can't be sympathetic for the characters when I feel like I'm watching them do some very obviously stupid stuff, right? So let's go down the list, shall we? Starting with the florist. I don't agree with his decision at all. I think his logic was flawed in saying that he stayed because he wants the rings in order to get money to heal his daughter. If you're dead, you can't get any money to heal your daughter, right? So that logic was flawed in the first place. I think they would have stood a much better chance if they just simply put this out as a decoy and stalled for as much time as possible and relied on Rain's abilities to escape from the siege, right? Like, think about it this way. If instead they had disabled all the elevators and then also hid all the rings and all the different floors and then tried to booby trap or even, heck, even easier. Maybe you try to block every single staircase using the plants and whatnot, so you have no elevators, you have no staircase, so on and so forth. I think that would have been a much better way to keep them preoccupied, right? So at the very least, it'll buy you enough time to do whatever you want to do at the Shibuya station. Now, sure, they still got a big part of their party there, but part of the art of war is by dividing the enemy's forces and then taking them on separately, right? The attacking side always has the advantage in that you can concentrate your forces, whereas the defense can not. So that's all I have to say for the Flourish, right? Sure, he's commendable. But to be honest, I highly doubt that he actually took down those 2 high-level ability users, Sigil users, as well. I somehow think that they were able to survive that through some kind of way, right? Maybe, maybe not, but I just have a good feeling that they didn't really die in that encounter. At least the airbender die didn't. So that's one thing. And then of course we got Rain doing reconnaissance. Like, to me, that was also kind of a bonehead move as well. You can clearly see that that place is crawling with those of the 8th. There was no need for you to risk going in there by yourself. Although I guess to a certain extent I can understand that a little bit more. She wanted to do some reconnaissance, gather some information, and she was perhaps a little bit too overconfident in her own ability, right? So I think it would be easy to make that kind of decision, considering that, you know, you think about it, you have this sort of foresight, you can analyze every single situation, and even if you're surrounded, you can find a way out of it. She definitely would be not too... It's risky, but at the same time, I do see the value in trying to at least know, you know, what is the extent of the enemy's forces and what kind of information that they already have, right? So I think that one is a little bit more acceptable to me in terms of the risk that was done. Now the thing here though is, I don't know, I feel like for being an information broker, she should probably know about the abilities of a certain Mr. Wang here, right? I presume that the reason that her foresight didn't really work is because Wang uses teleportation, and so she did not or was not able to read into that and predict that. So yeah, but at the same time, like I said, I feel like that one is honestly a little bit less offending out of all of what happened here, considering, you know, she does have a pretty god tier Sigil ability. I can't fault her for being a little bit too overconfident, right? Especially considering that she's not really used to this kind of field work. She's not exactly the type to go to these events in person and whatnot. So I can see maybe a combination of overconfidence and lack of experience contributed to her eventually getting to this sticky situation, right? And of course, I mean, as all anime, you got to have the protagonist arrive in the nick of time to save them, right? So we're not gonna go over that. That's just like 101, right? So whatever. Ryoji getting his hand cut off, I actually don't know if that's permanent or not. I don't know, it just doesn't feel that it doesn't feel that real. I don't know how to say it. It's just like it happened just like that, and it's hard to think if that is actually going to be permanent or not. Now that I think of it, I think it might be permanent, right? Because it's hard to say with this series. Not really sure, you know, how bloody and gory or how twisted it wants to become, or is it more of a feel-good type of anime, right? A feel-good type of work. So I think it's a possibility that his hand was cut off, but at the same time, like I said, I don't really, you know, that whole assault scene, with them arriving on the scene, saving Rain, and then confronting the Ave, like, I did not like the way that, that scene turned out at all. To me, what should have happened there was they throw the flashbang, they rescue Rain, and then they immediately get the heck out, right? So regroup. You've alerted the enemy to your presence, but at the same time, if you retreat right now, you can, like I said, you have the attacker's advantage, right? The defender has the advantage of being able to fortify their positions, set up their defense perimeters, set up the patrols and whatnot. But the offense is the one that dictates where and when they want to make their attack, right? So if you are already here, then you're eliminating your own element of surprise, so on and so forth, right? So it'd be much better if you just retreated and then, took some time to figure out like what exactly you're going for, what exactly your objective is, and if you have a plan of attack to going into it, right? Instead of everybody fighting just for themselves, and ending up in the situation that Ryoji ended up with, right? So being all by his lonesome and then being outnumbered by the enemy. Particularly in his case, he doesn't even have a sort of combat-oriented sigil. I think it was inevitable that he got into that kind of situation. Like, seriously, if someone had actually just lobbed a grenade at him, he would be dead, right? So I no sympathy there as well. And of course, the enemy also has to be boneheaded as well. Instead of actually, just killing him or whatnot, they took the time, and presumably it looks like at least a fourth or maybe a third of their forces are just sitting around there, watching their leader torture one enemy when there's 4 other enemies on the loose. Like, sure, whatever, right? Nobody's taking this seriously, I guess. The one redeeming thing I think about this is at the very end there. Now, I kind of feel, I have a hunch that actually Kaname is not speaking the truth. He's actually only bluffing, right? Now, I do feel, like, personally, I do feel that maybe the numbers in the diamond, the 6 numbers, has something to do with one of the lockers in Shibuya Station, right? To me, that just seems like a combination lock, a combination for one of those lockers you see in the subway station. But however, if it has to do something with the actual Charles Darwin's book, maybe. So I'm not really quite clear on what exactly that is yet, but I do think that Kaname is actually bluffing there, and he's not actually looking to negotiate with Wong, right? Because if he was, that would again be a very boneheaded move. You have no idea whether or not he would be willing to do this kind of negotiation or not. Honestly, I feel like I feel like the way that the scene would have played out a little bit better if he actually showed some force in order to make a bluff and then at least get into the position to negotiate, right? And what I'm talking about what I'm saying is, you don't open negotiations if you are on unequal footing, right? You need to have equal footing. It doesn't matter that you think you have information. If you don't have the force to back it up with, that'd be the same as Rain here, right? Once they catch you, they can eventually torture the information out of you. They don't need to kill you outright, but at the same time, there's no reason for them to negotiate with you, right? You need to bring something else to the table here. So I do hope that that's what Kaname is going to do in episode 8. There has to be a reason for Wong to actually want to sit down at the negotiation table and negotiate with Kaname, and no just information on the actual treasure is not going to cut it, as we've already seen with Rain, right? Like, that scene was quite correct, right? There's absolutely no reason for Wong to negotiate there. He's in a superior position. He can just get the information by force if he needs to. So I do hope that next episode we can have something to justify this kind of situation arising. So there we go. That is it for episode 7. Hopefully, we will get some less boneheaded moves in episode 8, and maybe some more fighting between actual sigil users, right? Because even in this episode, that didn't really happen. We always had someone using conventional weaponry versus someone with sigil. Except for, I guess, the florist, but really that wasn't too much of a battle anyways. So, there we go. Hope the next episode will be better, and I will see you guys next time. Until then, bye-bye.